What's up, everyone? I'm Alec, and this is a Fistful of Vinyl. My guest today is Defeater. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hey.
What's up? Not much.
Cool. I love the harmony. So you guys just played an awesome set here. We're at the Terragram Ballroom, and we're just going to take a little bit and sit down and talk about your music and kind of the process that goes into it, if that's cool. So in reading about you guys and kind of coming to understand like the full narrative structure of your albums, it seems like you guys are doing something really, really different than what just about any other hardcore band out there is doing. And for anyone who doesn't know, and correct me if I miss out on any of this, but the first album you guys released, Travels, sets up kind of the story of this family in New Jersey that things don't go well for them. It's just kind of about their lives falling apart. And then every subsequent album since then has been about characters directly involved, kind of, or maybe in an ancillary sense. Each album's been a focus on one of those characters, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much nail on the head. The last record, the self-titled one, actually focuses on 3 different characters and where their stories intersect on multiple records. Okay,
so in reading about it, I've combed through Reddit message boards and whatnot, and read your guys' AMA. It sounded like there's a lot of it that's kind of, it's direct but abstract at the same time. So there's theories that people have about what you're writing about. One thing I was noticing is when they were asking you about some of these theories, you guys kind of declined to answer.
Yeah.
So that to me says there's maybe an interpretive element that you want to have happen.
It's meant to be, the listener can take away whatever they want from the songs and relate it to their own life or to other people in their lives. And it means something to me that's very different from what it's going to mean to the listener. So,
do you feel like it's possible to misinterpret your music then?
It gets done every day.
So how do you react to misinterpretations? And I guess that's if somebody's way off the mark as opposed to a little bit.
Just tell them to go back and listen to it again.
Okay.
Just especially with like some fan theories, like it's kind of wildly off the mark, and I'll just be like, no, that's just not it at all. But I just tell people just keep listening to it, and usually it just has a lot to do with, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know what it has to do with, but yeah.
Do you have any reactions to like the kind of wild fan theories, or do you have any favorites that people have come up with?
I really don't remember them usually. Yeah. If it's like way off the mark, I think it just leaves immediately. There's this one kid that comes into my work that like he punishes me about it, and every time it's different, and he'll be like, no, it's about that. I'm like, it's not, but keep going, bud. Like, just go back and listen to it again, and you'll figure it out eventually, I think. Or maybe not. I don't know. He's a super nice kid, but it just, every time it's different and that much more incorrect.
Man, he's trying, though, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask kind of about the motifs of the different instruments as they kind of layer on top of the narrative that's being built. And for the other band members, do you guys view your individual instruments as playing sort of roles in the story or serving as like themes or motifs? Whoever wants to go for that.
I don't know if it's like instrument by instrument. Like whenever we've started to write a record, we just write the first few songs that like come naturally. And as we're polishing those up and Derek's getting like his idea of the arc of the narrative for that specific record, he'll be like, okay, like this is a rough sequence, but we have gaps like here and here, and we need songs like this that kind of like match what's happening with the narrative of whichever character we're working on. So we don't really like, it's not really like, and then the guitar means this character, blah, blah, blah. It's like a lot more of like a cohesive whole. Right?
And there's a lot of stuff that they'll do that will influence me. I would say more so that than the other way around. Like there are times where I'm like, oh yeah, like it'd be cool to have like a little bit of like a ramp back up, like as far as the pace goes, but it's more, they do something that influences how I write a song. And it's like I write a lot to how Joey plays and like syncopating with Mike, and then it's very specific to how the songs themselves are written too.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of like a continuous, like it's not like one happens first and then the other one happens.
Yeah.
Like it feeds off each other until the whole story and the arc of each record is.
Especially on
cohesive.
this last one.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of stuff that like as we were tracking things, because they were tracking as I was tracking, and like we would finish a song and I would do stuff and then they would keep going on the record, and we usually do everything in a very linear way where we map the record out and then like what the track order is going to be. And there were so many things where like they would do something in the studio and I was like, oh, I'm gonna change how I write this, and yeah.
So in that sort of sense, the story is developing as you're recording.
Totally, yeah. And that's sort of kind of the way it's always been, where like we'll change stuff on the fly, both ways.
I've heard
There was a lot of editing I'd say the mid era records. There was a lot when I was recording vocals where I'd be like, nope, that's terrible. Let's move this. Let's scratch that whole thing. And but yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to say one of the descriptions I had read about the way you kind of build this narrative is that it's, you're placing pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah.
And I know Defeater's mission is to, I imagine, complete this puzzle at some point, or just continue building outward.
No, just no real plan. Just I mean, like it's ever expanding, but it's also like it hasn't really.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Just come out with a prequel.
There
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, it's always been like expanding, but it's been building inward too. Like there's so many pieces of the timeline that's already happened that like I've shined a different light on from another perspective, and it tells a different side of the story. And I mean, there's been tons of like prequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've always enjoyed like the subjectivity of it, where you hear something from one side and you think you've almost like established a villain in that
100%.
way. Then you hear the villain's perspective.
That's
and
the
you're like,
point.
Damn it! I wish that didn't make so much sense.
Yeah. There's 3 sides to every story.
Exactly, like 1, 2, and the truth.
Yep.
So in this latest record, you were talking about 3 different characters, and it kind of felt like there was a summation of a lot of storylines in this one, where you got a lot of texture, and you also got kind of these definitive moments that had been referenced before. The taking of the eye, the throwing the body in the river, the priest and the mom running upstairs, and the last scene with the, by my interpretation, the priest and the brother.
Close. You're close. Priest and the bookie.
Priest and the bookie. Okay. Does the bookie have any other role in the story than being?
Yep.
Okay. Because one of the theories I really liked is that the brother didn't actually die in the war, that he survived the shipwreck and was like wrought with guilt for being the one survivor, and like kind of came home just.
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to kind of ask about like new characters in the story. How do you know when to introduce one, or how do you feel like, and I know you guys have said you take inspiration from all of your lives to kind of build this narrative. Like, have you had moments in your life where you like meet somebody or have an encounter of some kind where you go like, that's a new character in the story? That's like, there's a storyline behind this.
No, it's usually just by happenstance. Like when we're talking about stuff in the van, that's like something will stick in my head, and then. Like that's how like Mikey came up with Copper Coin, and it was just stuck in our heads forever, and then we incorporated it into the story, and it's usually just conversationally, something that has either happened or a story we tell just ends up in the story because I'll just steal it.
Nice. You had a couple guest vocalists on this album as well. You had Pat from Have Heart and Jeff from Modern Life is War.
Yeah.
Who would be like your dream like guest appearance on an album? And I mean, everybody can answer this, and I also have an answer that we talked about earlier.
I don't know where to start.
All right.
Those 2 are both pretty up there, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to say they feel like you're checking those off a list if you.
Yeah, kind of.
When Jeff was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," I was kind of like, "Holy shit! Like that's fucking sick."
You get like the tinglies, like, "Oh my god, I get to do this!"
Because I knew it was gonna sound sick.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like because he's just got such a unique style about him. You know, like you kind of automatically know it's him.
Yeah.
So
We didn't get Jerry only though.
Oh no.
It was a bummer.
Is that
I
it?
asked specifically for
You
Jerry
don't want
Only's,
dancing. Jerry only.
well, just his butt pads. Just his butt pads would do the
Yeah,
good spot.
he's aging, man. He needs those. It's part of his image.
I saw him like 15 years ago. He had the butt pads. So
He's aging then.
Yeah.
I saw him perform as the Misfits probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it was just like,
it's rough.
I want to like this more than I do.
Yeah.
That new album feels like somebody trying to be the Misfits, and by new album I mean the one that came out like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you guys listen to Killswitch Engage at all, or have you?
I listened to them a long time ago. Like
I
when
know
was
what they sound like, but I
like in high school.
Yeah, I mean that's when I was super into them as well. Their vocalist or former vocalist Howard Jones, I felt would be like kind of a perfect. Like he has such like an operatic metal voice that I don't know, just floating that one by. They live in Boston. I don't have their number or anything, but
I always thought it would be cool to hear someone like Chelsea Wolfe or Emma Ruth Rundle sing on some of the darker, chiller songs. You know, that I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know who else.
yeah. I'll tell you what. If anyone gets like a cool idea at any part in the interview, just interrupt whoever's talking and be like, "Oh, this person."
There's probably
Yes.
just too many.
Yeah.
There's a lot, I think.
Man, that'd be cool to do like a We Are the World type thing. Like just get a bunch of iconic vocalists and have them like.
Probot. Dave Grohl's Probot.
Oh man, yeah.
Right? Isn't that what he did?
Wait, tell me what Probot
Every
is.
song has a different vocalist. It's
Yeah.
not that it didn't really do it for me, but it was a cool
Conceptually
idea.
cool, yeah. So I want to ask about the production on this album. So you guys had Will Yip produce this one, and I know people have talked to you about the vocals, and that's a change. I respect the artistic element of that. What I want to ask is like you guys spoke so highly of Will and kind of the collaborative process between you guys and him, that I want to know some stuff that the average listener can that they might miss, but you guys think were like extra special touches that made it into the album. Like, yeah, like that was the product of like a cool discussion or like an awesome idea that came at 3 a.m. What's your
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, before we dive into specifics, I just, like that month just taught me so like strongly that you can be in like the toughest puzzle or what, like toughest spot and just throw like an impossible amount of like positive collaborative energy at it and like it's gonna work. And Will is just like the driving force behind that. It was awesome.
Yeah, he never like settled.
No.
And that was one of the things that we all fed off of early on. Because, like, you walk in the room with the guy and, like, you're instantly just homies.
He joins the band.
Instantly, just like, what's
super
good?
invested.
And-
We're bros now. Everything's
Yeah.
chill. Let's get after this.
And I think in previous recording situations, we all had ideas that we wanted to explore more or like things that we wanted to just keep pushing away at. And he was always down to do that. Which is,
And, like, really.
Will was always down.
Will was always
Yeah.
down to do that.
Will Yip
He
was always
very
down to
like,
do that.
Really wanted to dive in because there would be
Yeah.
times where we'd be going over a song, and then like I don't have too much input as far as guitars go and melody.
Well, that's not true.
I mean,
You got some great input.
that was a very modest statement.
but there would be times where he'd be like, "All right, let's chill. We're gonna work on guitars right now," and I'd just be like sitting at the drum set, like, okay. But I noticed like. For some reason, it stood out to me because they like really explored like every single fucking note you possibly could in a progression until it was like perfect.
Yeah. To be
You know.
fair, though, you've also.
To be fair,
There's been
That worked
multiple
out really
times in at least half a dozen songs that we've written where you're like, no, like the drums need to stop and your guitar needs to do, and then you just get like a barrage of adjectives.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's like sprinkly, twinkly, but like dark and like.
But it sounds like a campfire at the end of the world, at the bottom of the ocean. You're like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's somehow the perfect description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, I think you were going to say something?
I was just gonna kind of follow up with that. That it was very exploratory.
Yeah.
No idea was ever shut down. It was just like, well, let's try it, see how it is. Like,
Yeah,
I think that really helped to kind of elevate what we already had.
definitely. Because I think we'd spent so much time with these songs already that one of the things that was awesome about working with Will was that the ideas that he did have, we could pretty immediately be like, oh, hell yeah. Like, that's sick. Like, I've been listening to this song for a year and I thought it was done.
Yeah.
But what you just said is what this song needs. Let's rip.
So I do want to get into specifics. Like,
So the one that came to my mind was that song Desperate.
Yeah.
Was just one like jam that got louder and got quieter and we were just kind of feeling it out. And we had like different like the drums changed, but like the guitar riff was pretty much the same, like hit some different notes. But Will was like, this isn't a song, this is just a cool part. But we can make it a song. It needs a bridge. So we like messed around with the structure. And yeah, that was the moment for me where he was like, it needs a bridge here. And it was like what Joe was talking about, where we were just like, it drops down to guitars. And he was like, that chord's cool. No, not that one. Play it back. Like, and just 20 minutes later, we had the bridge.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hell yeah. Like,
And like when you nail it, when you get it, like Will is just like, yes, that, let's go,
Yeah.
roll it. Come on, don't forget.
you just know at the moment it happens.
Yeah, the moment it happens, like you can see it hit like it's just like a ding, ding, ding. And like, he's just like, all right, good, we got it. Like,
Yeah.
we fucking got it. So, yeah. I think the one for me was the end of All Roads.
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
name of
yeah.
the song
Oh, yeah,
on
you
our
did it.
record.
Yeah.
dude,
All right.
Fuck to find it.
Nailed it. But like I remember we wrote that song in Western Mass, and then the end was always so like chaotic. But
Oh, we wrote that one in New Hampshire.
no, we
we
At Alec?
started it
We
in Western
started-
Mass, and I think we
yeah,
finished
yeah,
it
yeah,
in
yeah.
New Hampshire. But like
Oh, yeah.
we brought it to the studio, and Will was just like, up until the end of the song, like that last break, he's like, "It's sick, we got it," you know. And then like, I don't know what clicked because we were working on it for what felt like eternity in the
well,
studio.
especially because that's not an easy
And I was
drum
just
part
like,
to
you
play.
know what? Fuck this song, guys. I'm out. Like, and then like, I don't know what switched, but all of a sudden, like somebody just started playing that guitar part and I started drumming along. And then Will was just like, ran into the room and was just like, it's happening. Go. You know, like, yeah, like freaking out. And we all kind of looked around.
Very accurate representation.
Yeah, you know, running in the room, just kind of like looking at everybody like, come on, like, fucking dig in, you know?
Yeah.
And that one for me stood out because that was like, I love that song and I love that part. It's like, it just sounds like a tank is fucking driving through your house. And when we hit that, that was like a monumental part of the record for me.
Yeah. And that reminds me too of like, at the risk of this interview turning into a Will Yip commercial, which is totally fine.
That's great.
I'll just put his website at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, please do.
He's like super willing to change what he's done a bunch of times before for whatever project he's working on. Like that song in particular is a really good example of we recorded all the guitars for the whole album like this far away from a really, really, really loud amp.
Yeah.
Like wearing like an obnoxious amount of hearing protection.
Yeah.
And like even the clean stuff. So we would get that like amp response. And he was pretty against that or like wary of that initially.
Okay.
But when we were setting up to do guitars, and he was like, we're going to split it. We're going to do like some in the control room like I normally do it, but we're going to do some out here. He just like stood up and he's like, no, we're doing all the guitars in here. Like, and just set up a couple more mics and we went for it. But I just really respected him being willing to take that risk with us to make like what we made.
Nice. What about on bass?
Dude.
It was crazy. Like, I think, you know, maybe not so much like arrangement stuff. I mean, there were definitely times where he's like, no, don't play that up high. Play that down low. Like, you just got to stay in this range here. But just the treatment overall that the bass got on the record was like, that was that was my favorite part, or like, I left the studio being like, okay, feeling like really worked, like everybody, he drags the best out of you, I think. And also being like, wow, like I think this is going to sound really good. He has really good ideas, and all the gear we used was stuff that like I definitely wouldn't have picked, like you're looking at this wall of pedals and you want to pick the craziest, most boutique-y ones and all these amps and everything. And it just was, we'll just go with like this and like give, dial this in and it'll be, trust me, we'll get what you want. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that was, also showed me like, I don't need to go buy all this crazy shit anymore. Like I can just have a couple things that I like that are like tried and true.
Yeah.
And, like get a good sound. So that part was really cool.
Word.
Yeah. I mean, going off of Will dragging it out of you and forcing it out of you.
Lovingly, I'm sure.
Until you're just like, I have nothing left to give. And then he's just like, now we start.
Yeah, for real.
And he's like,
he's like, this is the 60th time we've played this song.
What I want, like it was so wild. Like there were moments on drums where I was just like, man, like I love you, bro, but I need you to fuck off right now. Like no offense if Will ever watches this, he'll laugh, but
I think he understands.
It's just kind of like one of those things where like I'd be like, yo, I just played the part like 50 times, man. Like 50.
And you're like, I'm pretty sure 45 of those were perfect.
And it's just like, and he's just like, we're almost, he would always do that. He's like, we're almost there. And that's all he would say. He just real quick, almost there. Almost there. Bro, you got it. Almost there. And it's just like, nah, man, I got it. Like.
I'm currently there.
But he knows that he wants you in that headspace before he's going to get what, what's the best take.
And especially it was such an organic record, and like the way we recorded everything, there was like extremely minimal editing on anything.
Yeah.
So when like when we got the drum sound, we dialed it in and like there were no samples on it. He wasn't like moving stuff around. It was just like what we all played is what you hear on the record in like real time, like that exactly.
Yeah.
Which was like a very humbling experience,
Yeah.
because it pushed us, I think, all of us to the brink of actual like insanity in some moments of just like, what are we doing here? Like, what I have like my brain is about to crack, and like, what are we playing music anymore, or is this just like what's happening? But at the end of the day, you listen back and you're like, you're a genius. I'm wrong. Yeah.
We asked him too, like who came in here, who's come into the studio and just crushed it, like one take, and you were like, got what you needed and everything, and the list was so short. It was,
if anything.
Yeah, he was just like, that's not how it goes. Yeah. Like everyone's going to do everything until they hate me, and
my voice literally broke.
Oh god.
But we needed it. It was.
He's
Perfect.
Well, for me, I found he was not just chasing the perfect take. He wanted to catch something like magical. As goofy as that sounds, but it was like, wow, something happened there that isn't just a perfect technical take. It was just like, wow, that's super special. That's what we want.
Yeah.
No, because he'd be like, you did play that fine, like perfectly the last 20 times, but like the feel isn't quite there, and I know you can get it there. So keep going.
Nice. Well, being such a kind of conceptually driven band, and I know at times in interviews you've talked about kind of doing something very different than what the rest of the hardcore scene is doing. Have you felt any consequences of kind of like committing to that concept, or not writing songs about like unity, straight edge, or bros?
Not really. I mean, there's been times when it's like,
Sometimes I think that
people have definitely said it's like, oh, great, another fucking Defeater record about some war shit or whatever.
Yeah, and I think for it
to me is just fine. If you don't want to listen to it, don't listen.
Yeah, that exactly. I just think that sometimes if you're closed off and closed-minded in the sense of listening to music, it will go over your head.
Yeah.
Where if all you want to hear about is like Unity, that's great.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
sweet.
it.
There
That's
are
how we
other-
all grew up.
there
listening
are
to
other bands for that.
You know, there
Yeah.
are other bands like
Yeah.
this isn't that, has never really been that. You know, so yeah. I mean,
It's for an actively
to
engaged
each their own.
audience.
And
And I mean,
it's
I
for
listen
anybody
to
who wants to
mostly
listen. Yeah.
youth crew influenced
Yeah.
shit. Like I still listen to punk hardcore every
Yeah.
fucking day of my life.
Yeah.
But,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some flack, and there's been people that were used to be super excited about us, and then they said like they got tired of hearing the same old shit, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
That
And
shit
then
happens. It's music.
it's just
Yeah.
what happens. Yeah. People go in and out, and then maybe 10 years later you come back to it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, sometimes you, especially with new music, you just gotta like sit with it for a while. Like there've been plenty of times where like favorite artists of mine have put out an album and it's been like, oh man, this is the one that I like can't get into, and it's kind of heartbreaking in a sense.
Yeah.
You go back 6 months later, like what the hell was I thinking? This is
Yeah,
awesome.
for sure.
Especially when like a lot of it's just like the band. It's Defeater's been around for 10 years, so for certain people, like an older record was like in this like insane time period of their life.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it is like we were all much younger,
Oh yeah.
and you know, like so
I 100% agree.
you know,
It's so time and place. Like
Yeah.
bands are gonna mean different things to you at different times in your life, and
Well, that's actually leads me into a kind of a cool line of questioning, because a lot of what I was reading in your AMA is people saying like, your music helped me through a really tough time, or it helped me feel like, somebody associated with me as I'm going through like a struggle with like addiction or like family stress or abuse. Do you guys feel that that's part of your goal as musicians, is to kind of engage those people, or do you feel like it's happenstance from projecting sort of your own thoughts into your music?
I mean, it's definitely not a goal to be able to, or not be able to, but it's not a goal to actively help people. It is a nice happenstance from what we do, but like we're not licensed therapists.
Yeah.
And but I mean, that's just what it does. That's just what music does. Like we all have those records that helped us get through a tough time, and whether it's happy or sad music or what, I don't know.
yeah.
That's a tough one. Like, it's just like
I think
I'm so flattered by it, and I'm so humbled by it every time somebody tells me that, and it's an incredible but strange thing, and I don't know. It's definitely not a goal to be like, let's get out there and like change lives and help people, and it's our art is just our art, and the fact that it has done that is incredible, but it wasn't a goal.
Yeah. The way that you guys write, like, the tone of your music, is very, very heavy. Do you find like it affects like your mental health? Like when you're working really hard on a record, do you need to like take breaks to like engage with something happier? Or do you find it's sort of like a way to like kind of get that stuff out?
I don't. How do I say it? I think it's not. Me personally, it's not affecting me personally because it's so dark. I think it's just the repetition.
Yeah.
And the intensity and the amount of effort and like physicality that we all put into this. I think that's what takes its toll.
Yeah, it's not like writing a dark, moody guitar part doesn't make me depressed, but trying to write the best version of the guitar, like whatever the song needs, that's exhausting. But it's exhausting in a really like life-giving, like cathartic way too.
I feel like that's writing music in general, though. Like you're pining over the same thing regardless of the genre.
Yeah.
Your brain's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's something I've thought about lately a lot. It's just like it's such a weird concept to like at one like before 2 years ago, like none of these songs on the new record existed. They were somehow taken from our brains and put through like amplifiers and like microphones and shit. Yeah, I definitely smoked weed today, man. But like it's weird. You're creating something out of nothing. You know, like it's such a weird concept, and you know,
Everything is one thing.
everything is one thing, man. And going back to that, it's just like holy shit, like trying to push something out that is so weird and didn't once exist, and there's no correct formula. You know, that's another thing. And that's why I think all of our artistic sides get so fucked up sometimes. It's just because there's no right way. It's just like, when do you cap it? When does it sound like good enough? You know, I think every musician is cursed with that thought process and that work ethic. It's just like, when is it good enough for us to put it out there for the world to hear?
Yeah.
You know? Things like that weigh on my soul.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, this sounds really sad, I hope nobody cries. It's just like, fuck, like, you know.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite
Yeah.
of that. Like, yeah. I
cathartic.
could fucking talk about that.
Yeah.
What narratives have inspired you guys in your lives, musically or otherwise?
Metallica.
Yeah,
Not Metallica.
that covers everything.
Yeah. It's either Metallica or not Metallica. Yeah.
Have there been any stories, any films, albums, books? Anything like
Oh
that?
man.
No, we don't really read books,
Ryan
watch
Mackfall.
Backfall.
This is a question for Ryan Mackfall.
You want to take this one away?
9-degree pan.
Yeah.
So, what other narratives have kind of inspired you guys, or have you kind of found influential in your lives? Not necessarily in creating Defeater music, but just on a personal level.
I mean, obviously, like I'm like a weird external part.
Well, let's explain who you are
Yeah,
first, so
but
people
for
understand
me,
the context.
I think these guys, obviously, the weird thing is that their narrative kind of brought me in to being a part of the collective originally, and that was the first thing that got me in. I kind of heard their music through a friend and was kind of like, what's this band about? And I spent an evening like listening to the music, and then kind of was looking for bands to work with that would give me something, you know, that would fuel me, because being a filmmaker that started in the music industry, I was looking for something that would, you know, keep me interested and keep me engaged in telling a story, and that brought me into them, and kind of through that we were going to do something a lot shorter, and then we kind of realized there was something else going on, and the stories, you know, it's gone beyond, you know, I'm one of those people that was like, you know, what's the story about, and you realize that with Defeater there's much more than the kind of album story. There's these people behind it, and that's the part that, you know, is evolving, and that's the reason that I'm still working with them right now. It's because of the people and who they are. So, you know, for me, like, it's weird. I kind of, you get used to being around these guys, but like, even as we've been filming for like 8 years now, doing this documentary, and there's loads of other stories and narratives that I see that I'm like, inspire me to make this, what we're doing together, as awesome as possible. It's a bit cliche, but when I watched Dunkirk, I was like, the way it was shot, I was like, I want to make something as good. I left the cinema like being like, I want to be a filmmaker so bad. I am a filmmaker, but I was also like leaving that cinema being like, I want to make the Defeater story almost as good as that, which I know sounds impossible, but you know, we'll find a way to do that. But yeah, I would say these guys inspire me weirdly, and that kind of goes back into what we do and how we collaborate. So I don't know, it's kind of skipping the question maybe.
It's still a great answer.
No, I think that's perfect, because I mean, Ryan inspires us too when we're when we all were writing the
Thanks.
demos and or not the demos, but like writing songs and stuff. Ryan was there filming because it was a side of the creative process that he had never really been involved in or got to see.
He can't not work.
Yeah, he can't not work. So, like, just how driven Ryan is helps when we're feeling down about how long we've worked on something, or the recording process bringing us to the brink of sanity or whatever. Like, Ryan's always there being another positive light for us, just saying like, no guys, like, this is what you don't know is like how good this is. And we're like, nah, we're fucking toast. And he's like, no, you guys got this, like this. And I don't know, it goes back and forth. And like Ryan's, I mean, he flew to meet with us after a paying gig to come here and just hang out for 4 days because he loves us and we love him, and it's just part of this thing that he's so invested. I don't know.
Well, it just keeps me refreshed. It's like it's a cycle, isn't it? And we're looking to I think we were, myself and Adam last night. We kind of we're at the bar down from Gilman Street, and we were just, Adam was like, what's the film about and all this, and it's like the narrative is only slightly unfolding, but the film is, for me, I want the film to be about what this world is, and I feel like in our current climate where a lot of the world is profit driven and numbers driven, it's like, this is not what this is. This is us being us, and that's what it's about. And people need to be reminded of that in the world. They need to know that it's cool for you to go out and do something because you love it, and you don't have to be popular or make money or whatever. It's like, do it because you enjoy it. Because I think, I'm only 36, but life moves, and I think you gotta get what you can from who you get. And these guys, they're a big part of my life, so that's why it's a circle. So
Brilliant. I love that. I can slate again if that helps. Knew somebody was going to do it.
Nice.
It was so close. It was like a flam.
If you'd done it at the same time, I could have just used that.
Yeah, flam rest.
Flam rest.
Rest.
Sort of like a 50s groove.
What are we doing?
Just.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you'll permit, I want to ask one more question about the narrative.
Yes.
What is the smallest change in the family's life?
1 penny.
1 penny would have made a difference in their.
What's the
smallest?
That was a dad joke.
I hate penny. Fuck.
Oh, goddamn! It's smallest change. Ha ha! Now I'm going to ask somebody else. What's the smallest change that could have happened in this family's life that would have put them on a different path, other than like the admittedly awful one that they're on?
I don't know. I feel like everything is so fucked up with each one of them that it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go back to where the story begins. But that's not even true, because everything is a domino from something else. That's the way the story's written, is that there's just, it starts with one domino years before the records start, and then it's slowly spread, and by the time it's done, it's it makes one of those nice pictures, like the rows where the when somebody sets up all those dominoes and then they all fall.
Like V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Solid reference. Nice.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be something as simple as like the person who fired the torpedo that sinks the brother. If that didn't happen, maybe things would have been different.
If less people killed people.
Yeah, maybe
less
people.
So
I guess let's bring it back to, if there was no World War I.
Yeah, if Eisenhower did it.
If there was no World War I, there would have. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, yeah, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. There we go.
All right.
You've heard of the Balkan powder keg?
The Balkan powder keg? Yeah. Tell me.
If we never met,
Yeah.
their lives would probably be a lot better.
Yeah, that's so true.
I love it.
If Mikey Poulin didn't say, "Hey, is that a Lawrence Arms tattoo?" That's like
true.
the start of me and Mikey's friendship.
Nice. Can we see
So,
it? Dude,
I mean, it's all the way under the shirt.
You want to show the
There's a
tats?
couple of them.
Bro, dude. Me and Mikey have the same Lawrence Arms tattoo. That's all you need to know.
all right, so you don't have to roll your sleeves up.
He's got tats.
It's hidden.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll let this one lie. So
We got tats, bro.
yeah.
We're a tatty
Well,
band.
I'm dangerously. I'm approaching like contrived questioning as soon as I'm like, "What do your tattoos mean?" Like,
Dude,
I'm
it's
avoiding
art.
that.
Dude,
Don't
you
worry.
were so good with the narrative ones, and then here we are.
Please.
That's what I thought we were getting ourselves
Oh,
into.
what?
here,
Like you don't enjoy talk of body
Best ink.
modification?
All right, rescuing this with the D20. I kind of explained what we're doing with this. We roll it. Questions that have almost nothing to do with being a musician.
Nice.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, it's all that.
Whoa.
I'm gonna get this over with first.
All right.
Damn.
What do we got?
13.
13.
It was almost 14, which is my favorite number.
Oh, man.
But now it's 13.
And you're fucked.
I'm afraid.
So am I. What the fuck are you about to ask me?
All right. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Billy Idol, Rebel Yell.
Nice. Okay.
I've only done it like 2 or 3 times, and I was super fucked up, but it was awesome.
Oh, that's just one you can tear into, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who's next?
Easy.
All right.
I got off.
Yeah, these aren't like hard questions. They're just like kind of fun ones. All right. Oh, okay. What's your favorite slang term? I'm happy you got this one for the.
Let's go, Adam. Let's go.
Where to begin?
Smoko.
Remember, this is for an American audience.
That's why I'm so happy about
Fuck
it.
them up.
I'm not going to explain it, but it says Ken Oath.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Can oath?
Ken Oath.
Is it 2 words? CANOATH?
Could be.
All right.
It's an abbreviation for something.
All right. All right.
But
Somebody in the YouTube comments, get out that.
someone can look that up.
Nice. All right. Who wants to go next? All right. Yeah. Yeah. Do a roll again. That's a 15 again. 2. All right. What is something that you love that everyone seems to hate, or something that you hate that everyone else seems to love?
Oh, God. I got really into Grey's Anatomy this year. Does that count?
If you feel other people hate it.
There's a lot of people that love it, and a lot of people are like, what are you doing?
I was a Scrubs guy. I know a lot of people were house people.
You got yeah.
Well, I feel like everyone has like their medical show if they're, I don't know. But all right, Grey's Anatomy. I accept your answer. You want to go?
Sure.
Oh, man. All right, so 1 is really special. Are you familiar with the critical fail?
No.
So in D&D, if you roll a 1, it's the worst. Whatever you're trying to
I'm
do,
dead.
you do it in the worst way possible.
Okay.
So when an artist rolls a 1, they answer the previous kind of on-the-spot question that the last artist came up with, and then they make up their own like on-the-spot question. So this is a 2-parter. You ready?
Oh my God. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So one of the last bands we recorded was called Clark and the Himselves, and she asked if you could reach an audience, or if you could reach no audience outside of your local scene, or have an insane Clown Posse-esque following, which would you go for?
ICP.
ICP.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, truthfully, I like the local scene thing. Like that also sounds really fun and satisfying, like gratifying and everything. But I mean, when you bring ICP into it, I would take the family, dude.
Yeah.
I would do it.
All right. What would you?
Woo.
What would you call your juggalos?
Is there? I don't know if there's any other.
Yeah, I mean, you can't know until it happens.
I mean, there's like,
Right.
like deadheads, just sort of thing. Like, what would you call those devout followers of Defeater? This could be for
Gilligan's, and I'd be the skipper. Yeah, I'd just have a yeah.
All right. And then, what question should I ask the next band that rolls a 1? Yeah.
How do you sleep at night?
Oh man, that's tough.
I know.
How long do most people usually take to answer this question?
We come back to it.
All right, can we come back to it?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not saying it's going to be any better in a couple minutes, but
Yeah, but you buy yourself some time.
yeah, okay.
All right, Derek, you want to give us a roll? That is a 9.
Nice.
All right.
Number 9.
If you were a
Number 9.
professional wrestler, what would be your signature move? What? You didn't even finish the question.
I fucking hate wrestling.
It sucks.
Yeah, we're definitely
My signature
not a wrestling
move.
band.
I mean, I'm not a wrestler. I just think it's a good question.
Mikey's got one. No. What, the ball tugger or something? Is that how you're... That's where I assumed it was going.
The Shorzy. It can be whatever. It doesn't have to like further the goal of wrestling if you want to like undermine it somehow. You'd have a fabulous way of leaving the building and not finishing the match or something.
That's a good special move.
Yeah, honestly, that sounds
Just
great.
shut it down.
I have no idea. God, I hate wrestling.
You like give them a gift
All right,
card.
do you want to roll again?
I like Mikey's.
You just give them
Give
like
him a gift card.
Just go white
like you
elf.
knock them out, like so they're out on their back, and then leave them like a Dunkin' Donuts gift card on their chest.
That's where I was going. Or just like a free pound of Dunkin's coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, let me roll again, actually.
All right. I'll take
A proper answer.
Yeah, we get another answer. All right, 3. What's the worst date you've ever been on?
Ah, that's great. All right.
Does this improve or worsen your situation?
With what situation? Just life?
Just answering questions. I feel like you.
Oh, no, this is much better.
All right, far out.
The worst date I've ever gone on was probably this girl didn't know we were on a date. That's what it was.
Outstanding start.
Yeah. So I asked her out to dinner, and I mean, this is like almost 20 years ago. And I asked her out to dinner, and then we were hanging out, and had dinner and stuff. And then I went to pay, and she said like, "Oh my God, is this a date?" And I was like, "I mean, I guess it is now." Because I'm paying. And she's like, "Well, I guess it's a date if you pay." And I was like, "You put me in we're in a tight spot here." So that was, well, I'm married to my wife, who's not this woman. So.
I wasn't sure if it was a meet cute or what.
No. This was, she's actually like, she's not like a friend anymore, but we stayed in each other's lives for a while, and I actually ran into her at a Ben and Jerry's like about, 6 months ago or something. It was very
In
strange.
Denver?
No, I was back home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were home for Blake and Alyssa's wedding.
Okay.
And Max had a terrible ear infection. We had to go to the emergency room. And then after it was all over, we had to pick up his prescription. We stopped at Ben and Jerry's to get ice cream. She happened to be there. In line, she was wasted, fucking annihilated. She was wearing she's wearing beads. Like she was like,
Whoa.
She had been out. This is terrible. She had been out with like all of her coworkers. She's a labor and delivery nurse now. At the hospital my dad worked at for fucking ever, and yeah, it was fucking wild. And I was just like, "Hey, what's up? I gotta go take care of my sick kid. Talk to you later." I was like, "Hey, Ben." She's like, "I'm divorced." I'm like, Jesus, that's too much. I didn't ask for this.
As far as I'm concerned, within the answer, this is all a part of like the same date. These are just bookends.
Yeah, there's about 20 years in
The
between.
worst date
but-
ended with a running in at Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah.
Did you pay for ice cream?
No, I didn't. I did not.
So the date's still going.
I guess. No, I paid.
Until the next album, yeah.
I paid the first time.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I paid the first time. The date was over. Yeah.
That is a great date story.
Yeah, it was
Love
good.
All right, so I was
See,
like,
I'm great on this shit.
yeah, that was perfect. Yeah,
I can make any story about me funny and comically tragic.
those are the best kinds.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a?
I do. Yeah, I have,
All right,
I have a question.
hit us with the number one.
I want to know, or I think the viewers want to know, how many cell phones you think you've seen your band members go through in the course of being a band? Because I was thinking today, in this band, in 10 years, we've probably gone through 225.
Yo,
I was thinking that, honestly.
and
Lots is
some have
crazy.
met colorful, just wild
colorful deaths.
Yeah.
I want to hear about a cell phone demise.
Circa
This was a friend of ours,
2013.
Can I
actually.
tell it?
Oh, no.
Should you tell it?
Those were different times.
This was actually a friend of ours.
Were they
What did
different
we open
times?
into?
Dude,
They're talking about something
All
different.
right, let's hear yours first.
Well, this didn't happen to anyone in this band, but a friend of ours fell asleep in the passenger seat of the van with his cell phone next to him or on his lap or something. And I think the window was down because he had been drinking and they were afraid.
Trying to air them out.
Yeah, you know. And he suddenly woke up in the middle of the night in the passenger seat and threw his cell phone out the window because he was having a bad dream about an ex-girlfriend texting him. And then that was the end. They just like kept going.
And it happened to be like an overpass, or like it was like in Florida or
Yeah.
something.
That
And
shit
it was,
is
like,
gone.
Straight up like a crocodile's dinner.
Never seeing that
And
again.
Alex was just like, "Yo, that's gone. You're not getting that back."
Oh, that's such a good
Joey
question.
Longobardi.
Another time, we were breaking down, and I put my cell phone on somewhere on like the drum riser, like the corner of the drum riser or something, and it was my fault. We were joking around, and we weren't actually like breaking anything or like trying to be disrespectful, but we were just like, yeah, like let's fucking kicking our cabs and stuff like that, and just fucking being goofballs. And I think the sound guy from the venue was like, yeah, I'll get in on this. And he picked up a cinder block that was used to put in front of the kick drum.
Yeah.
And threw it. And we just
This is in Italy, right?
Yeah, we just kept going about like, we were like, oh, this guy, he wants to get in on it too. That's cool. And I didn't notice for a while, but like half an hour later, I go back to my cell phone and it's just destroyed. So
I thought it was a cymbal stand. I thought it just like, I don't know, but
Who knows?
it died.
confirmed nor
Gone
denied.
now though.
It's weird. Gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one side, the other side, and the truth, right?
Yes.
That's a phenomenal roll of one question. That is one of my favorites we've ever done.
Yeah,
All right,
that
cool.
was very well done.
Word.
To end on the best note possible, we need to tell Joey Longobardi's cell phone.
Should I
Story.
tell it in detail?
Yes.
Yeah.
In great
Yeah.
detail.
All right. Let's hear it. Then I've got one last.
I was born on May 6th, 1980.
Really got to go back to the beginning.
World War I.
You gotta understand where I came from for this story to accept it.
Phil Longobardi.
So we were on Warped Tour, and we were in a rocket ship, and
The van company.
the van,
the van.
Not
and
like
there were bunks in the back, but
Not like a real rocket
Yeah.
ship to space.
so we may or may not have been drinking heavily that night,
Every night.
every night,
On Warped Tour.
every night, and you crawl into your bunk, and then at some point during the drive, like, you stop and you go out, you pee and get snacks and fun things like that at a rest stop. But on this particular night, I slept through that, and then I stumbled out of my bunk, and I was like, I need to stop, and we were on like just like an elevated road going through like, it might have been
was
to
somewhere
like
in the
New
Southeast,
Orleans
I
or
think.
something
Yeah.
like that, like along that.
And it was pouring rain.
Yeah. And so I found a bottle, and I peed in the bottle, and then, I don't feel good about this. These are different times. I went up front, and our buddy was driving, and I was super drunk, and I just had my phone and the bottle in the same hand, and I drunkenly leaned over and rolled the window down and just looked at him and then fucking threw both out the window. And I knew immediately after it left my hand. I was like, oh no. And he just looked at me. He's like, yo, you just threw your fucking phone out the window. And I was like, I know. He's like, should we stop? Should we stop? Like, dude, what the fuck did you just do?
It's covered in piss.
And I was just like, yo, that shit is gone. That shit is gone. And then I was stuck on fucking Warped Tour with no cell phone for 3 weeks.
Wait, was this where you had the iPad?
No. That's what I was thinking.
And I carried around an iPad the whole tour like it wasn't a big deal.
That's a different tour 2 years later.
Same thing basically happened.
Wait,
The same thing basically didn't happen.
did he defenestrate another phone?
You didn't throw your phone out the window, but phone's gone, and you just didn't. You were just like, yeah, whatever.
I
got
lost
this
my
iPad.
wallet and my phone.
This is what happened this time. We were getting on a flight back from Greece or something like that.
No, we were in Israel, dude.
Yeah, we're in Israel. And we were also fucking jet lagged, or not even jet lagged.
Jet lagged.
Well,
We were exhausted.
we were exhausted. We flew.
Doing nothing but flight dates for like a week and a half.
Semantics, just
Yeah, we flew to Russia and then flew to Minsk and then took a train to Moscow and then flew to
We were
Greece.
all over the place. It was
All in 5 days. So we were like tired. And we are all sitting in the terminal doing our own. Oh yeah, I'm not even using the mic.
Yeah.
Doing our own thing, getting snacks and stuff. And we're like, oh, we get back in the RV tomorrow. This is going to be great. Because we had an RV and that we had bunks and we were like, I can't wait to just like sleep. And we're just like all kind of doing our own thing. And then Joey's sitting by himself. And we didn't see this happen, but he just announcement comes out, oh, we're boarding. And he just goes,
and just left the shit. Like, literally was just not like just
looking at his phone.
He's here, brother. You know, like, and then I woke up, I came to in the RV and I was just like,
no, you came to on the plane.
No. That's right.
Yeah,
Because we
you were
made these poor flight attendants. I was like, no.
Yeah, like doors
the plane
closed.
is on. Like, no.
Flying in the air.
We need to turn around.
We need to turn around.
Like, where's my phone?
I got an iPhone 5 back in Israel.
And then, like, stupidly, like, I was just like, yeah, I'll just email the fucking airport and they probably have my phone.
People are good.
And that'll work.
Dude,
Like,
Tel
some
Aviv
motherfucker didn't see
airport.
me do that and was like, bingo.
He's laughing, telling his
shit
buddies
right
about the
there.
easiest phone he ever got.
Yeah.
I saw the guy walk onto a plane and take like
He's not coming back.
Oh man, dude. All right. We end interviews the same way every time. I want to know what you guys are listening to in the van, and I want to know what our viewers should be listening to that they may not know about. You know, bands that you feel like deserve more attention.
Sweet.
What was I listening to today?
It's my favorite thing when the artist actually pulls out their
shit
phone
today.
Yeah,
Well, driver usually picks the music in the van.
that's a good rule.
Derek does a lot of the driving. So
Today, listen to Greg Dooley's solo record that came out in like 2005. And then I don't remember what else.
No More Black. But
Yeah.
I mean, as far
Yeah.
as like regular,
Yeah, I mean,
it's different all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be personal too. You know,
Initiate, Power Alone, Femme.
Are you naming the bands that?
100%, yeah.
No. Is this the second part? Your answer to the second part?
No, I've been listening to that like a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what else we listened to today.
I have my
Oscar.
headphones on.
or just in general.
Oh yeah, we listened to Oscar.
Oscar.
Very well, maybe not underrated, especially not here, but fucking fantastic band.
Word. And what about bands we should be paying more attention to?
I really like the Drew Thompson Foundation, which is the singer of Single Mothers, like just kind of rock band. But that's definitely one of the most listened to things for me in the last couple months.
Word. Anyone else got something? Even just like friends and stuff that you feel like are trying to make it.
I mean, Super Crush is fucking
Yeah.
killing it.
Super Crush
Band is
gnarly.
incredible. incredibly nice people, fucking great musicians, great songs.
Yeah.
They've been in bands that we've loved for the last like 20 years.
We took this band Field Mouse on tour in like September, October. They're awesome. And we also had our friends band Soam on a couple of those dates.
Hell yeah.
Rules.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, those are some good ones to check out. Well, guys, thanks so much for doing this. Tell people, I mean, if they're watching this, I imagine they know, but tell people the best way to find your music.
The internet. I don't
Good.
know if you guys have heard
Google
of it.
it. I'm usually interviewing a much smaller artist for
I
whom
think
that's
it's
a
on
relevant
this
question.
thing. Yeah, it's on the phone. It's on the old phone.
Some TVs are smart enough to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know, standard shit.
Go to your local
Spotify,
library.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Go to a record store, like a
that's
real
good.
person.
Yeah, our last 2 records are on Epitaph, and the ones before that are on Bridge 9.
All right.
Ryan Mackfall's mom.com, I think you can find.
There it is.
Fuck you, man.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching and listening. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to listen to Defeater's self-titled album. Follow at DefeaterHC on Instagram and to Fistful of Vinyl. And yeah, thank you guys. Hope to see you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Cool. We're good.
I can't do anything without my dog just being like if I'm on the couch and he'll jump right next to me and it's just like stared at me, just waiting, and I'll look straight ahead and I just gotta ignore him, and then I just feel like it's like nuts off. Seriously, it's just like, and I look over and he's just like looking up at you, and you're like, dude, I don't know what you want. And then it's like it gets like a little more until he'll straight up like start scratching and almost leave a mark. But it starts out, it's like the little like ginger touch, just like hello.
What attention without the
So weird.
Michael.
Yeah.
He uses your full name.
Michael.